All right, guys, we're going to add some more to our trig graphing we did yesterday. One more thing to it. Here we go. More trig graphing. All right, what we're adding are phase shifts. Phase shifts is basically the trig word for shifting your graph left and right like we did earlier in the school year. If you look at this, yesterday we talked about the A, which was the amplitude, basically your vertical stretches. The B, which changes your period, which is basically your horizontal stretches and shrinks. And today we're adding this parentheses. And the parentheses is going to shift your graph left or right, opposite of what you think, just like we've always done. Okay, so no big deal there. Let's look at a couple. All right, first one says find the amplitude, period, and phase shift of y equals 3 sine 2 x minus 4 and graph one complete period. Okay, so here we go. First of all, the amplitude is always the number in the front, 3. I'm going to go up 3 and down 3. The period is the number in front of the x multiplied is the 2. So I'm going to do 2 pi divided by 2. My period is just going to be pi. My phase shift, I'm going to put PS for phase shift. I hope you get that there. It's going to shift right, pi over 4. So I'm just going to put it's going to be pi over 4 to the right. So I'm just going to put pi over 4. Phase shift basically means where you're going to start your graph. You're going to start the graph at pi over 4. So I'm going to put pi over 4 here. That's like my new 0. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. My 4 slashes like I did. Here's the deal. The period is 1 pi, which means I'm going to finish 1 pi past the pi over 4. 1 pi is really 4 pi over 4. So if I go 1 pi past 1 pi, past the pi over 4, there's a lawnmower going outside like crazy. Okay, so if you add that, you end up with 5 pi over 4. Halfway between, 3 pi over 4. My y-axis, I got to go up 3 and down to negative 3. And now I'm ready to graph. But you can remember how sine works. Sine starts at 0. Remember, I have a new 0 now. My 0 is right here, starting the graph here. And it goes up, down, up. So it's going to go up at 3, back down the x-axis, down to negative 3, back up to the x-axis. So one period is going to look just like that. And again, just like yesterday, it's all about labeling your axis correctly. Make sure you label those really well. Let's try one more here. This time cosine. Y equals 3/4 cosine 2x plus 2 pi over 3 and graph one complete period. So the same thing this time except it's cosine. And I'm going to do something that's going to look a little strange to you, but you have to do this to make it work out the way we like it to. So what I'm going to do, anytime there's a number in front of the x, we're going to factor out that number. I don't care what else is in there. It's like taking out a GCF. So if I take that 2 out, it just leaves x. And if I take a 2 out of that 2 pi over 3, it's taking the 2 out. It just leaves pi over 3. Basically just divided it by 2 or cut it in half. Okay, so now I know what everything I need. The amplitude is 3/4, so I'm going to go up to 3. It's actually a vertical shrink, not going up to 1. The period, I'm going to do 2 pi divided by the 2, because it's in front of the x, which is just 1 pi. And my phase shift, this time, because it's a plus, I'm going to start my graph at negative pi over 3, the opposite of what's inside, like we've done all year long. So here we go. See if we can graph that thing. I'm going to negative pi over 3. I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4 slashes away. So I'm going to say this is my 4 slash away. It's 1 pi away. 1 pi is really 3 pi over 3. So if I add 3 pi over 3 to negative 1 pi over 3, that puts me at 2 pi over 3. That'd be my 4 slash. Halfway between the two would be 1 pi over 3, I think. That's not right. I need the halfway point so I know whether the y-axis is part of my graph or not. And to find what's halfway between, all you do to find the midpoint is you add the numbers up and divide by 2. So if I add the negative pi over 3 plus 2 pi over 3, that gives me 1 pi over 3. And if I divide pi over 3 in half, that puts me at pi over 6. So that's the halfway point. And so that's the second. So this is the second slash, third, fourth. The first one is not going to be on the x-axis. It would be halfway between pi over 6 and negative pi over 3. So I'm going to do the same thing. Negative pi over 3 is really negative 2 pi over 6 and 1 pi over 6. If you add those and cut it in half, you get negative pi over 12, which is like really close. So there's the first slash. So, wow. Cosine usually starts at 1. This time, obviously, we're just going up to 3/4. That's going to be negative 3/4 right there. I made this a mess. That's negative 3/4. Cosine starts up here. It's going to go down to here, down to here. I need to change colors so you can see it a little better. Sorry about that. It's going to start up at 1, 3/4, here, down, up, up. So one cycle is going to look just like this of cosine. Not a very good curve there, but I think you get the idea. A lot of stuff. This is really important, okay? And then labeling your axis, you got to, it may be the hardest thing you do all day is just label your axis. Okay, the picture is very easy. The picture is the same every time. Is can you label it correctly? All right, this is going to go backwards. The last thing I'm going to do to you today is I'm going to give you a picture of a sine or cosine graph, and you have to come up with what the equation is. All right, so because this is starting up and going down, you know, it looks like a cosine graph. So I'm start here with a y and a cosine for sure. Second thing I noticed, it goes up to 2, down to -2. So the vertical shift or the amplitude is 2. It's not been shifted anywhere because it's starting at the 0. You know, it comes down up like it's supposed to, but it's not ending at 2 pi. That's 1/4 pi. That'd be half a pi, 3/4 pi. It's ending at 1 pi, which means the period is not 2 pi. The period has been cut down to pi. So what I'm going to do is it's like 2 pi over b equals 1 pi, because that's what the period is. That's how we found the period all day. So if you cross multiply right here, and that, and b equals b times pi, divide both sides by pi, you get b is 2. So it's just y equals 2 cosine 2x. All right, same thing we were doing, just kind of went backwards that time. All right, so we'll work on this tomorrow like we always do. Look forward to seeing you. See you then.